I was just reading a post by Dr. Elisha Goldstein, who's a clinical psychologist with a private practice in West LA, and he was talking about the 3 mindful ways to calm an anxious mind. Now, before I tell you what those 3 things are, I want to give you some background information about Elisha Goldstein. So he's the author of several books, including Uncovering Happiness, Overcoming Depression with Mindfulness and Self-Compassion, also the author of The Now Effect, How This Moment Can Change the Rest of Your Life. He's also the author of Mindfulness Meditations for the Anxious Traveler, and he's the co-author of a mindfulness-based stress reduction workbook. All right, so now let's get into these 3 mindful ways to calm an anxious mind. So first is to release the critic, because not only is anxiety painful enough, but we often get hit with a second round of self-critical thoughts. So one way to be able to get out of that is to be asking yourself better questions. Like, for instance, do these judgments that you make for yourself, do they make you more anxious or less anxious? Right? And so the answer is almost always more. So when you notice the self-critic, see if you can interrupt it by dropping into your heart and saying, may I learn to be kinder to myself? And think about that. That's about, instead of having all that self-criticism going on of, should have done this and could have done that if I hadn't have done this, if you can be able to instead be using words that are a lot more kinder, then you're awakening within you states of being that are softer and gentler for you. And this has a huge beneficial effect. They actually did a study where they would have 2 groups of people, and the one group would have they'd get hooked up to this little machine that would give them a shock. And then this other group of people, they'd have the same thing, but those folks would have a photo in their hand of someone that they loved. And what they found is that the people that had the photo of the loved one were able to respond more resiliently. In other words, they were able to get their emotions back down to baseline a lot sooner, a lot faster. Whereas the people that were just going in there cold and left to their own devices still maintained that higher state of arousal. All right, so just being able to think about more kinder thoughts will actually have an effect on your state of being. All right, number 2 is to practice the 3 by 3. So in moments of moderate to even intense anxiety, the 3 by 3 practice can come in very handy. So what this is you drop into 3 of your senses and you name 3 things that you notice about them. So let's say I was feeling quite anxious right now, so I could talk about visual things. So what are 3 things that I'd see? Could be my books, could be the desk, it might be the nice chair. And then if I went for auditory, 3 things I might hear could be birds chirping outside, I might hear a car driving past, or maybe the distal hum of the furnace. And as for smelling, it could be might be smelling some candle that I've got burning, or some incense, or perhaps a dinner that's going on. All right, so by doing that, it helps to interrupt the automatic catastrophic thinking that's fueling the anxiety. All right, so it's a way to be able to awaken your senses in your mind and point them in a completely different direction so that it lights up the neuronal circuitry of something completely different, right? It's sending blood flow into another portion of your brain and out of that stress and anxiety. And third, and I think this is the most important of the lot, is to channel your anxious energy, right? Because not all anxiety is bad. Like most mental events, anxiety lies on a spectrum. So when you're feeling a lot of anxious energy, that could actually be stress or courage building up. Either way, we need to release that. So if your anxiety isn't severe, you can actually channel that energy into something productive. So if you're nervously waiting to hear some news, get active, right? Go for a brisk walk, or clean, or organize, or do some gardening instead. Because if we don't, then those stress hormones just sit in our bodies and in our tummies, and it just causes our DNA to age faster, and nobody needs any of that. So whenever you're feeling anxious, take some of that nervous energy and do something with it. I like to do jumping jacks, and that's kind of my thing to do. And for you, it could be something completely different. In any case, I hope you enjoy these 3 tips for being able to use mindfulness ways to calm an anxious mind. And hey, I'd like to hear from you. So leave a comment below if there's something you'd like to share, or another video that you'd have perhaps a topic you'd like for me to cover. All right, thanks, and bye for now.